chilly out here this morning. Brr. This may be our last. Actually, I'm not sure it frosted last night. It feels like it should have. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Good morning, Rooster Cogburn. Usually you don't really need a knife to open these up. Coverage on that's not the best, but it's fine because the chickens will come in here and they'll scratch around and spread it out. They always do when I put fresh bedding down. And I think there's just a couple of nesting boxes here that might need a little TLC. You know, when they lay eggs, they're not sitting down. They stand up, actually. I've watched it happen a few times, and they don't, it drops probably a good 1.5 to 2 inches when they actually lay the egg. So having a nice soft bed for it to land on is good. Also, we are not sure about that chicken that Liam caught in the act the other day.
I went out to put all the chickens back into the run because they all got out, and I opened up the fence and I put them all back in, and I went in the chicken coop because there was one making a weird sound, and it wasn't her, but it was like one making a really loud broody sound, and I went in there and she was walking on the bottom.
The bar, like
the bottom bar thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she walked into the...
in front of the nesting boxes.
In front of the nesting boxes, and then she walked into the one that's like always got eggs in it. The one closest, the bottom one closest to the door.
Okay.
And it had 2 eggs in it. Or maybe 3. I'm pretty sure it was 2. And then she walked in there, and I heard a crack, and I saw her, like I was watching her, and she had her foot, and she poked a hole in the egg, and started...
With her toe?
With her foot.
Oh my gosh.
And she started eating the egg out. She started just like drinking all the eggs. So I grabbed her, and she's really mean. You just saw that.
She laid an egg in her little solitary enclosure the other day and didn't eat it. Go figure. Come on in, honey bunny. Were you waiting your turn? Yeah. Go ahead. You can lay your eggs. See? That's what they do. They'll just come over here and scratch it all out. Cover up their own poo. Stir it up a little bit. And that'll be just fine. Good morning, Queen Caroline. See how much bigger of a bird she is? That's what I was talking about. I really think she's a Cuckoo-Marans, a hatchery grade Cuckoo-Marans, if that makes sense. You've got you've got show grade birds, and then you've got hatchery grade birds, and that's what I think she is. Look at this. Take a look at what we did yesterday. We spread out that big tarp back there because it was covered in water. It was so heavy, and yet the ends had all been blown in, and it was really hard to move.
Wyatt had the idea to start sweeping the water off of the tarp, which worked pretty well, but it was kind of slow going. Then they got buckets and started bailing with the buckets. Once we had a sufficient amount of water moved, we decided to work together to pull the wrinkles all out of the tarp.
Just grab a spot here.
Double layered?
I don't know, whatever.
Double layered.
It needs to come, it needs to come this way at the same time. I can't pull it!
Oh, it needs to come that way a lot more.
Huh?
It needs to come this way more. That way is like all the way stretched out.
Keep pulling, Liam. Okay.
Is that good enough?
This is pretty good.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Rennie.
Hi, Ren.
Okay. Are you good?
Thanks for your help, Ren.
What?
Thanks for your help.
You're welcome.
Then this over here is where we had just the plain, Nathan had tilled it up with the tractor. But he tilled up everything except my garlic row that's right here in the middle. And all of the clumps of clover and stuff that he tilled up were just growing back because I was not able to remove them. So we just unrolled the silage tarp and kind of slid in it here.
The silage tarp that I bought was 24 by 50 feet, which is pretty much exactly the size of the garden that I was trying to cover with it. It came on a tube with the width of it folded and the length of it rolled around a tube. So we had to unroll the whole length of it before we could unfold the width. Here's where we realized that the way that it was folded and the way that we had unrolled it, once we unfolded it, it would have the white side of the tarp up, and we really wanted to have the black side up. Silage tarps have a white side and a dark side, and you can germinate seeds with the white side, but if you want to kill weeds, you need to have the black side up. So we had to turn the whole thing before we could even get started. So we folded it out about halfway, and then we measured the length of the bed where I have the garlic, because it's not the full 24 feet. Then we carried the tape measure down and measured that length onto the silage tarp. We had to unfold it a little bit more to be able to get that length. And then Liam cut the tarp. He cut a slit with a T at the end to allow us to unfold it and let the garlic peek through. And we just pulled it down over the tilled soil and covered it with bricks, and it worked pretty well.
But we also put a lot more, we put a bunch of bricks. So you can see I put a bunch of bricks every couple of feet. There's a brick, as opposed to what I had been doing before, which was just large buckets with several bricks in them. The kids filled up. They filled up some of the buckets. I guess I need a few more bricks here because the wind just blows it.
We brought in a lot more bricks and rocks and things to weigh down the edges of the silage tarp so that hopefully that won't happen again where it gets all wrinkled in the middle. The kids filled up the leftover buckets with the rest of the water that was on the tarps. This path right here, I had intended to cover with the silage tarp, the old one, but it's fine. It's going to be a walkway anyway, hopefully to the greenhouse, which will sit where the current compost pile is. And then we got this spread out and we have a slit cut in it here where the garlic is. I hope these bricks are enough to keep it held down. The kids filled these buckets with water, so we'll just see. I ought to be planting right now. I ought to be direct sowing some seeds and putting my cabbages in the ground, and I probably will do that. I probably will fold it back in that area that's closest to the chicken run, where I've had a garden for like 3 years now and the soil is more black and there are fewer weeds. I probably will go ahead and do that, at least get my cabbages and kale out. But you're supposed to have the tarp on for 3 weeks to kill the weeds, so I'm still debating that. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to leave it for 3 weeks.